Hi there, this is Gus Pelogia, and this is SEO in 2025.
Gus, what's your number one SEO tip for 2025?
My number one SEO tip is to use LLMs to build your little SEO tools to help you with analysis and boring work so you can spend time looking to potential outputs and potential outcomes, not output.
So, okay, you're talking about how to use LLMs to build simple SEO tools, really, without coding. So, what types of simple SEO tools are you talking about building?
Yeah, so I have two examples. The first one is I needed to find a way to map related pages at scale. And normally, we can go page by page. You open, let's say, an article and you can look at which other articles you have on that topic and start mapping them together. But of course, the larger the website, the more pages you have. And suddenly you have a very manual task that you have to run through. And just playing with ChatGPT, and I assume similar tools will give you similar things. I use Gemini as well. I just asked for a Python script to do that calculation for me to look for similar pages. And I got a tool that works. I've done something similar I wanted to find what was the month that a certain page had most traffic. I was doing some analysis on traffic decrease. And maybe some pages lost traffic in January, some pages lost traffic in April, and so on. And instead of trying to find what happened for each one of them and manually go to Google Analytics or similar tool, see, okay, this was the best month or this was the worst month, I could just upload all the data into a sheet and the calculation, the tool will do the findings for me. It would give me an export to say, this is the page, this was the best month, this was the worst month. And then you can go more into why this is happening, what happened in that month. Maybe you can compare your keyword positions, or you can look into search volume to see if there's a decrease. But some of that work of selecting when something happened was already done by the tool. So I maybe 30-40% ahead, and I'm focusing more on the outcomes, why this happened, not just collecting data to start the analysis.
So, why should SEOs build these sorts of tools by themselves? Aren't there enough tools out there?
I think there are, of course, a lot of tools, but there might be things that are more specific to what you need, and it just makes your life a little bit easier. So I have another good example. I kind of touched on that, but I want to go through the whole process, if that's all right.
Yeah, that'd be good. I mean, I understand you start off by using Screaming Frog.
Correct. So let's say if we are this exercise that I did on finding related articles, Screaming Frog has a connection with ChatGPT. So you need to get an API key and you buy the credits, maybe, 5-10 pounds will be more than enough for thousands of pages. And you can do a crawl that also extracts embeddings. So embeddings are just transforming words into numbers, and it will give you an export of here is page A, and these are all the embeddings that exist on this page. So it's going to give you an export full of all of these very long numbers, which you can transform later. Then I went to my second step. I went to ChatGPT and I said, give me a script, a Python script that will look into embeddings and will calculate the cosine similarity between these and give me 5 pages that are related to each other.
So is vector embedding the same as the embeddings that you're talking about?
Correct. Yes. So with the vector embeddings, you're going to get those numbers, and cosine similarity will measure how close these numbers are from each other. And what you get on the output are which pages are the most closely related to each other based on all the words that exist on this page. I'm not just looking to titles or descriptions, but I'm looking at the universe of words that exist on page A and the universe of words that exist on page B, C, and D. So in this case, I just asked, give me the 5 pages that are most closely related to an initial page and exclude the page itself from this calculation. With this script, I said, make the script to work on Google Colab. I'm not a coder. I wish I was, and I've tried many times, but didn't really get to the right place. But with ChatGPT, you can ask a script that will look at embeddings and will consider cosine similarity to make it work on Google Colab. Google Colab is kind of like a Python tool that already has a lot of things pre-installed.
And sorry, just making sure that we've got the explanation of all the phrases that you used there as well. What's cosine similarity?
Cosine similarity is just a calculation of how closely related are all of the embeddings. So in step 1, you get all the embeddings. Step 2, you're going to calculate how close the embeddings are from each other.
Brilliant. Okay, understood.
Yep. And with Google Colab, I just went back to ChatGPT and said, give me a script, a Python script that works on Google Colab, and I will give you a list of pages. Column number 1 is called page. Column number 2 is called embeddings. Give me the 5 pages that are most closely to my initial page. Now, once I upload this sheet on Google Colab, I don't need to do much configuration. I don't need to understand coding. I'm literally copy and pasting from one place to another, and will open me a page, a section on the page, and it'll say, upload your sheet here. Once I upload the sheet, it does the calculation and automatically download an output sheet that will show, this is page number 1, this is my source page, and these are the 5 pages that are closely related to that initial one based on the list that you uploaded. I know there are a lot of concepts in here, and to be very honest, I'm still learning a lot of them, but I know it works. So I've done that to find pages that are related to each other. I've done that to find which was the peak time in terms of traffic for a page. So let's say I'm looking to 5,000 pages, they all lost traffic, and I want to know when they lost traffic, when they were at their best time versus now, because then at that stage I can say, okay, this is the keyword that I lost. Or maybe I didn't lose any keywords, but Google started adding more SERP features on the SERPs, and that's why my clicks decreased. So essentially, it's automating part of that work. Now, I'm still going to keyword tools to see when was the best time versus now to understand what happened in between those two groups. But I don't need to go to Google Analytics or another tool to see when was the best time, the best month this page was performing. And once you get into hundreds of pages, it's just a lot of select a new page and wait till it loads again and blah, 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 blah. So you kind of just save a lot of time in here. And the main idea of my tip is, how can you use LLMs to write, people are calling this pseudocodes, to do boring tests for you?
So that's a great explanation of why peak time could be important to calculate. What about related pages? What are the main reasons that you want to discover that?
Yeah, in my case, I just wanted to add internal links. This was a way to easily find lots of pages.
And do you automate the adding of links from there, or is that a manual task?
I mean, you can automate, you can talk with your engineers and do a bulk update. Now, I still look at the output and see, are these pages actually related? Does it actually make sense for a user journey to finish an article and say, this is a next step that it makes sense to me? So it's not a perfect, whatever the tool gives me, I'm going to blindly go ahead with it. But it's much easier to spot check, okay, these titles, do they make sense? Are these part of a normal journey that people would have when they're doing this? Maybe if you're getting to e-commerce, you don't want to see 20 headphones, but maybe you want to see something different, but there might be ways to play with the code and just prompting and asking the code to change to adapt to the things you need.
Great, yeah. What about the fact that you say you use LLMs to create a Python script? Why is a Python script important?
It's just what you can use inside Google Colab. You probably could use different types of scripts for different types of tools. This was just the process that I found. Google Colab, it's very good for this kind of task, I suppose. And I know very little about coding. If I hit GitHub, I'm already, okay, I'm not going to find the answer here. I go somewhere else. This just felt an easier way, even without having the ability to code. Maybe I know how to read HTML, CSS, all the JavaScript, that kind of stuff. But if you say something's broken here, it's not working, I have a very small chance of fixing that. But this is just all to say, I managed to use LLMs to write code for me, and this code works, even though I don't know how to do code myself.
And you say LLMs, is this just ChatGPT that you've been using?
I mostly use ChatGPT. I've done some troubleshooting with Gemini, which is also connected with Google Colab. So if you put a piece of code on Google Colab and it says, something's broken here, can't run the code, I've asked Gemini and said, hey, this is not working. Can you help me fixing it? And it was maybe 2 or 3 prompts, asking again and say, oh, this is the error that I got. How can I fix this? With some back and forth, and eventually gave me the code that will do exactly what I needed.
So should every SEO be doing this?
I think if you're potentially, yes, like it doesn't really need to be technical, right? Like in this, one of my cases was I was looking to the peak time of a page when it trended the best. And this was playing keyword analysis, SERP analysis. So it wasn't really a technical activity, but it just saved me a lot of time. I needed to look into thousands of pages. So I don't need to go into every single screen on Google Analytics to find when this happened. I already did some of that work, and I'm sure there are plenty of other ways to automate things like this as well. So yes, every SEO that is doing things that might be repetitive or boring, I would give it a try to see, can you automate at least part of this process?
How do you decide what to automate first? Is it simply whatever is taking up most of your time?
I guess whatever challenge is coming to you right now, when I started looking at the peak times, it was a manual process. And after 5 or 6 pages, you are like, we'll copy from the screen and paste on the screen and make a note on the spreadsheet. And it may be just a half an hour passed and you have a list that is this big and you're still here and you realize, boy, this is a lot of time. I'm going to spend days doing this. Can I do this in a better way? I want to get to the good part. I want to find why these pages are not performing as they performed before, or I want to find why they're performing so well versus a few months ago. And that's the really interesting part, right? You're not going to go back to your client and your manager and said, I opened Google Analytics 500 times and I loaded all these pages to find. They want to know what happens. Why is this trending up or why this is trending down? So it frees up time so you can talk about the outcomes and not just, copying things on a sheet.
If an SEO is struggling for time, what should they stop doing right now so they can spend more time doing what you suggest in 2025?
Yeah, stop doing manual work. If you can automate things, I think this universe of LLMs, as much as changes a lot of what we do in SEO, and some people are happy with it, some people are not happy. It's here to stay, so you might as well just embrace the things that you can embrace on that. That kind of mapping would have taken months for an editor to do one by one, and instead of doing that fully manually, maybe it took me 2 days to go over 20,000 pages. Someone is still checking them, but it's much easier to come from, here's a draft. What do you think about this? Someone can go from there. And if it's something that looks very off, then you go manually and you check and you replace things. But in my experience, they were mostly on point, just in the right direction. So, automate the things that you can. Maybe a tool already does what you need, but if it doesn't, go look for your use cases and give it a try, and save yourself a bit of time.
Gus Pelogia is Senior SEO Product Manager at Indeed, and you can find him over at guspelogia.com. Gus, thanks so much for being part of SEO in 2025.
No, my pleasure, David. Glad to be back. As you can see, I'm quite happy with the books. Proud to be part of the series. They're up here on my shelf. And thank you for having me again.
I've been your host, David Bain. Get your copy of SEO in 2025, the book, over at SEOin2025.com.